Hello, Internet. I'm Chrissy Duffy, and welcome back to more Storytime. So today we're going to dive into more of my arcade stories. For those of you who don't know, as of June 2022, no one who works at this arcade has ever worked with me currently. So that's hilarious. And we're going through, and I'm going to monopolize all the crazy bullshit that happened, and make several fucking Storytime videos. And so I went through, I was typing up stories about all the shit that happened, and I found several old blog diary such posts that I made while I was working there, and we're going to read those first and get those recorded and out to you guys before I begin reading the scripts I have been writing. Heads up, this is like over 13, 16 pages in a Word document, and I have more written in a Mickey Mouse notebook that I have yet to type up. So, the title of this one that I wrote was Late Managers and the Rude Dick. So this was originally posted on February 10th, 2019. So this was after I was there. Yeah, the first one was 2018 at the end of February. So this one was a year later. I was working there for a year. And I posted it at 4:40 a.m. So I marked it. So the day, February 9th, 2019, was a hectic day at the arcade. So I arrived at around 9:47 a.m., only to find all of my opening coworkers outside waiting on the opening manager. This was really weird because the store opens at 9 a.m. and the others are all scheduled to be clocked in at 9:30 a.m. Since I work the kitchen and bar, I don't come in until like 10:30 a.m. since the kitchen doesn't open until 11 a.m. and the bar at 12 p.m. One of the openers sent a message to the store group chat asking where the opening manager was. I had noticed that my phone had dinged with the message when I was pulling up into the parking lot, but didn't read it until I was walking up. I waited a few minutes outside with everyone until around 9:55 and sent a message in the group chat, myself asking if we were stating that we were all there and asking if the opening manager was on the way. After all, only managers have keys to the building. I currently do not remember who the opening manager was supposed to be, but yeah, that was an issue. The opener for amusement called the amusement manager to figure out who was supposed to be there. That manager tried calling the opening manager but got no response. So she called and told us to go inside the mall food court to get out of the cold and that she would be there to open shortly. So this opening manager, because I use she for amusement, would have been, what was the name I listed for her? Oh, it's not here. The list of names I made is not here in this document. It's cool. But I made a name for her because I gave everyone nicknames to hide their identity. Because we had two amusement managers. We had Jet, who stayed a lot longer. And then we had Kala. I named her Kala because she was like a mom figure. So she's named after one of the moms, I believe, from Tarzan, I believe. And so we're going to call her Kala. Kala was super great, super nice. Wonderful kind of mama bird personality, beautiful woman. So, yeah, she told us to go inside to get out of the cold, because it was really cold, because February is our cold season in Georgia. I don't know what happened exactly, but the opening manager finally showed up around 10:30ish. We were instructed to write in our times today so that we would get paid for the time we spent waiting for her. I had to rush to get the chairs down and get the kitchen set up. The filter bag for the fryers was torn and unusable. We're still not sure how that one happened. So that was another issue that happened. So I had to use a pizza screen to filter both the fryers. Unfortunately, it caused some of the oil to splatter and several splashes of hot oil hit my legs and my feet. It hurts a lot because I could feel it going through my shoes, socks, and both layers of pants I was wearing. Yeah, I should tell you how fucking hot, how cold it was outside. I wore 2 pairs of pants. After I finished getting the kitchen set up, I answered the phone and gave a customer information about booking parties. It took a very long time, most likely, because I had to call constantly for someone else to give me the information, because all I had was like a simple flyer. And so yeah, during this time, an older lady, she looked around 40 or 50 at most, she spoke to the girl at the bowling counter while I handled the customer on the phone. Once I was done with the phone, my coworker informed me that the lady had apparently peed on the floor. Apparently, she didn't look before she sat because the lids were all down. Especially since we don't have facilities in the morning. So apparently she just sat down to piss and then realized her mistake as she felt and noticed piss on her pants. A bowling opener whined that she didn't want to clean it, so the opener from amusement wound up doing it. I remember she came by and spoke to me as I was rolling up the cord for the oil filter. The oil filter was a piece of metal that connects to the tube, and while rolling up the cord, my arm made contact and burnt my arm. I ran it under cold water instead of cool because I thought it was cold, because I am not that smart. And people often, everyone always says cold, but no, it's cool water you're supposed to run it on. But yeah, I ran it under cold water after cussing and put burn cream on it. I also grabbed burn cream for my legs from earlier. I also announced on the walkie to the manager that I had burned myself, as is protocol, and I got no response from it. Text message to my phone, ignore my car, please. A little while later, I had a polite lady at the bar. She wanted to get a drink for her and her friend. I informed her he would have to come up with his ID so that I could confirm he was of age and the ID was valid, as well as give him a wristband. She was super polite. I had no problem with her. She told me they rented billiards but didn't know the number, but told me the guy with a red and black jacket was standing at the table. I'm blind, so he was the only guy I saw, so I believed he was the one she was getting the second drink for. She got her drink and took the menu to show her friend to figure out what they wanted. She came up and told me they were billiards 3, they were actually billiards 2, and I let her know, and the name I read, which we will change to Jeffrey St. John. That'll be important later. Since the ID was good and he was old enough, I let her buy the drink and told her to send him up here so I could give him the drink and put the wristband on him. She nods and walks back to the table. Now, I hung by the bar for about 5-10 minutes waiting, but the guy in red and black didn't come, so I go back to the kitchen to work. I served a lady who already seemed to have an attitude for no reason and didn't listen when I explained things, so I had to explain things about 3 to 4 times before she understood. But I did my best to be polite. This was about 15 or so minutes. A few more minutes afterwards, a guy in a green jacket, white shirt, and white hat comes up to the bar. He just stands there, but I go over there to greet him, and he flips open his wallet to show me his ID. I think, oh, he gets it, because not everyone realizes or thinks that they need to show their ID at the bar before I can serve them, which I do not understand. If you're going to get a drink, you have to understand you have to have your ID. The ID, however, expired October of 2018. Another thing, please make sure your IDs are up to date and remember what year it expires. You all know it expires on your birthday. I inform him that I can't take an expired ID. He looks confused and begins going through his wallet and pockets. I stay at the bar waiting for him to find his non-expired ID when he realizes he has written billiards and his ID is at the bowling counter. I ask which billiards set he is so I can ask over the mic for the ID check. I'm awful at repeating names, especially over the mic. He just randomly gestures and says he doesn't know, which I think is stupid. Shouldn't you know what number you rent for many reasons, especially since you have to sign a rental agreement that states you're responsible for that equipment? I told him I need to know which set so we can find his ID. He hasn't said anything about a friend buying him a drink or anything, but he begins getting irate with me for not serving him, but I tell him I need his ID in order to find it is for me to tell him what his billiard set number is. He yells and says he doesn't want to go back over there and then back up here. Mind you, it's not that far a walk, a few yards at best. But for some weird reason, he wanted me to go and check. I told him I'm not allowed to leave the bar or the kitchen area, as that is my department, and not the billiards area. He becomes even more irate, rude, and frankly aggressive. I back away and my lead comes over to try to talk to him and calm him down. He continues going off and screaming. He finally says his name because, to be honest, when shown IDs, I only look at years, not names. He says something like Jeff Stands or whatever, or at least that's what I heard. I get on the mic and ask if anyone at the bowling counter has an ID with his name, and I tell the bowling manager that I have a guy saying he's that person and that he's being really aggressive. I also asked if she still wants me to serve the rude man. So our opening manager was the bowling manager, which would have been Scarlett, based off of this. My manager tells me that as the bartender, that is up to me to use discretion, and basically that it's up to me to decide whether to serve him or not. I nodded. I don't think he needs any alcohol of any sort. I turn around and the polite lady from earlier is up there talking to him. I say hi to her and she explains that this was the guy she bought the beer for. I go, oh, I thought it was the guy with the black and red jacket. The guy is still fuming and rude as my lead goes back to the kitchen. I grab the wristband. I figured since the polite lady already paid for it, I would let him have it since one drink won't get you drunk, but that would be all he would be having, especially since I'm the only one working the bar. Another thing is, I don't like having to go for the hassle of doing refunds, because you need a manager for it technically, and it's a bitch to do. However, the guy wanted to fuss about the armband. I explained you have to wear an armband in order to drink at the arcade. I hold the armband up to put it on his wrist, and he jerks back. Give it to her, he gestures to the lady with him. I don't want you putting it on. I can't do that, I shake my head. I have to put it on. I am so fed up with this idiot. I'm pretty sure I also stated I was the only bartender. The lady grabs his hand and arm and holds it on the bar. I state it has to be the right hand. The man is still fussing, but I just want to get it over with. The whole time the lady is telling him to calm down so he can get his beer and let me do my job. He's also rudely telling me not to touch him as I'm putting the wristband on. Hearing the lady telling him, she's not touching you, was amusing to me. The idiot was acting like I was going to hurt him. I went to pour the drink, which was a Heineken, and I kind of wished it had foamed up a bit more. When I walked back to where they were standing, it was just the lady. I placed it in front of her and let her know. Due to that behavior of his, he is not going to be served anything else. I made sure to put on my most serious face. I also informed my lead and manager about it. I really only gave them the beer because the lady had been so polite, and I can't do refunds, as I stated earlier with my little quips. The poor woman looked a bit embarrassed, but nodded with understanding. Later, mall security showed up. Apparently, the bowling manager, Scarlett, had called them. I was confused because he asked me where the drunk person was. It took a few minutes to realize they were here about the guy from earlier. My manager spoke to them and explained the situation to them and what happened. The officer asked where the guy was currently, and I pointed him out and described him. I found it almost joyous as the officers went over to talk to them. I was concerned they would come over to the counter and ask why we called security on them, but luckily they didn't. They went back to playing their pool game. I did see them in a small huddle a few times. I didn't see them leave, but I'm glad that was the last time I dealt with them. A lot of other hectic stuff happened today, but the main part I wanted to get down was about the rude guy. And then when I post and pasted this and went over it to edit some of the grammar mistakes I wrote, I actually completely forgot about this incident. I had to fix a few grammar and wording, but wow. I was too kind and lenient back then, which is very true. But honestly, I feel bad for the polite friend who has to apologize for their dick friends. Why are you friends with that fucker? Ditch them. They're worthless. Also, me getting hurt, telling the manager and or supervisor, and them doing nothing happened constantly. I got so many injuries on that fucking job. Only one time did I tell one of the supervisors that I got hurt, and which one was it? It was Nala. I told Nala I got hurt. She was an amusement supervisor or an amusement lead. I don't remember what she was at the time. And she told me I would need to fill out an incident report, but I was never called to the office to fill one out, nor was I given one to fill out. So yeah, I should have filled out an incident report several times and was never given one. So yeah, I don't know what that says about them or how they were handling shit, but yeah, definitely not good look for them. But yeah, that is the story of the rude dick and the very late manager, who I now believe was Scarlett, or Scarlett was called to take over that job. But let me know about some of the fun, crazy, annoying, frustrating incidents that happened at your job. Comments are fantastic to the algorithm, and if I feed the YouTube algorithm, I'll be able to hopefully just do YouTube more often, or at least just solely focus on it more. It is a pipe dream, but at the same time, I enjoy talking shit and sharing stories about all the older bullshit that happened in my life. So thank you all for being here, watching this video, enjoying whatever art was being made, and all that good stuff. Bye-bye!